Not yet. Today is a lot more of yesterday, so I need you guys to follow along and pay attention. Yesterday we did zeros, right? Using zero. So we're going to do the same thing today. So everyone should have your work divided into two. So you're dividing that workspace into two places. One side you're going to say x-intercept. And whenever you're looking for the x-intercept, your y is going to be equal to 0. On the other side, you're going to have y-intercept. And whenever you're looking at the y-intercept, your x is going to equal 0. Pencils are up here if you need one. Okay, so I'm going to take this equation and I'm going to substitute whatever I know. I don't know what x is, but I do know what y is, so I'm going to write x plus 0 is equal to 5. So does 0 have any value? No, so I can just bring down x is equal to 5, right? So I'm going to write my ordered pair. What is my x value? What's my x value? What does x equal?
5.
So my ordered pair, x is going to be 5. And what is my y?
0.
My y is 0. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. X plus y equals 5. I know x is 0. So I'm going to say 0 plus 5. Oops, I'm sorry. 0 plus y equals 5, right? Is that important? Is this 0 important? It doesn't change my equation in any way. So y is going to equal 5. So I can write my ordered pair for that. Sorry. Good. Hang on a sec. Okay. So, what's my ordered pair going to be? What is x? What is the value of x in this equation now? So my ordered pair, remember x always before y is 0. And what's my y value? What does y equal? So my y value is 5. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and graph this, right? So my first one, x is 5. So from my point of origin, I'm going to find where x is 5. Y is 0, so that's my point there. My second one, this time x is 0, so I don't move left or right, but my y tells me I move up 5. That's my point there. You should have a straight edge.
Do we do the same thing go off like that paper again?
We're going to make sure that we graph it end to end. Add our arrows on both ends. We should be drawing our line with a straight edge. Getting used to this, and then we label it. X plus y equals 5, which is my original equation. I'll give you some time to catch up. So did everybody catch up and have this information? This is easy. Okay, all we're doing is taking our the 0 and first substituting it for y, and then second we're going to substitute it for x, and we're using the same equation for both. Okay, but this is a really easy equation. So let's look at something that's a little bit more difficult and has more numbers. Okay, we're still just using intercepts. Let's look at number 4. Okay, number 4 looks a little bit more tricky, but not really all that tricky. You know why? Because it's all positives. So we're going to flip the paper over, and we're going to look at number 8. Okay, number 8 is much more difficult because it's got a lot of negatives in there. But it doesn't change what we're doing. Okay, we're still dividing our workspace into 2. Jordan, you with me? we're going to write x-intercept. And when we're doing x, y is 0. And on the other side, we're going to look for our y-intercept. We're looking for y. X is going to equal 0. Okay? Now I'm going to take this equation. I have negative 4x plus 5y equals negative 20. I'm going to take that equation, and instead of y, I'm going to write a 0 in that place. So I have negative 4x plus 5. There's my y. That means 5 times y, so I'm going to use parentheses to say 5 times 0. I'm going to finish it off with my minus 20. Okay, so all I'm doing is taking that 0 and substituting it in the equation for y. On this side, I take that same equation, and instead of x, I'm going to write 0. Okay, y will come down with me. That's what I'll solve for. So what is 5 times 0? What is it, Eddie? It's 0, right? So this has a 0 value. It becomes unimportant in my equation. So I can go ahead and bring down what I have left. I have to bring down this. Now make sure you bring down that negative. So I have minus 4x is equal to negative 20. And now I have a much easier problem to solve, right? How do I undo multiplication? What is my inverse operation? I'm going to divide. Good. I'm going to use division. I'm going to divide by whatever is in front of x, or my coefficient of x. What is in front of x? Negative 4. Please make sure you include that dividing by that negative 4. That way you don't leave the negative 4 behind. It becomes a positive 1, right? But remember, Juan is shy. So we're just going to, that becomes 1. We're going to bring down my x. Juan can hide. Now here I have a negative divided by a negative. Turns into a positive. So I'm just going to make them both positives. Easy. So now I have 20 divided by 4. What is 20 divided by 4?
6.
Close. It's 5. Okay. So now I can write my ordered pair for this intercept. Okay. When y is 0, what is x? What is x?
5.
X is 5. My y is 0. When y is 0 in this equation, x is going to equal 5. And that's the first one that I'm going to graph. Let's move over to the other side. Now x, this time x is going to be 0. So I have a negative 4, and instead of x, I'm going to put in parentheses a 0. Plus 5y equals negative 20. Okay? What happens to anything times 0? It becomes what? 0. So I can just cross that off. So my new equation is much easier. I have a positive 5y is equal to a negative 20. Just like I did on this side, I want to use my inverse operation of multiplication, which is what again? Division. I'm going to divide by the coefficient of y, or whatever's in front of y. What's in front of y? Positive 5. Positive 5. This becomes Juan. Juan is shy. Let's bring down just y. We'll let Juan hide. So this time I have a negative and a positive. What kind of answer am I going to get? I'm going to get a negative answer. What is 20 divided by 5? Okay. So this one, when x is 0, what is my y value? What is it? Negative 4. And I can graph these 2 points. When x is 5, y is 0. When x is 0, y is negative 4. Take your straight edge. Draw your line end to end. Add your arrows. And then label it with your original equation. Minus 4x plus 5y equals minus 20. You're graphing and labeling, Sharon. Okay, so that's probably the most difficult one that you have to do. It looks like the rest of them are mostly negatives, but you do really need to pay attention to the negatives. But the concept is basically substituting. You're doing the same equation twice. The first time y is 0, the second time x is 0, and then you're just solving for the opposite variable. Okay? Those are two fine examples. Right now I want you guys to go ahead and flip your paper back over and do number 3 on your own. Okay. Okay, how many of you guys divided your workspace into 2? Good. You want to divide your workspace. They're all lined down there. On one side, did you guys write x-intercept y equals 0?
Yep.
And on the other side, did you write y-intercept? X is equal to 0. Okay, perfect. That's your start. Let's take this equation. This time my y is going to be 0. So I'm going to write 3x plus, and instead of y, what do I write? 0 equals negative 6. Okay? Okay, so what is the value of 0? No value, right? So I'm just going to cross that out and bring down my new equation. Now I have 3x is equal to negative 6. Okay? So now I have to get rid of this 3. This is 3 times x, right? So if I wanted to write it with parentheses to make it clear to me that to see that this is a multiplication problem, to undo multiplication, the inverse is division. So I'm going to divide both sides by 3.
You get positive.
Oh, do I?
No, positive 2, my bad.
Do I?
No.
I have a negative times a positive. So it's going to be a negative. 6 divided by 3 is 2.
Well, I shouldn't have done that little triangle.
You should have done the triangle thing. Okay, so now my x value is negative 2. So in my ordered pair, x always comes first. My y value is 0. So that's my ordered pair, 2, 0. Let's go to the other side. This time I have 3x plus y equals negative 6, but x is going to be 0. So I'm going to do 3 times 0 instead of x, right? Plus y equals negative 6. And this one is super easy. I'll tell you why. When I cross this off, what am I left with? Bam. That's it. It's done. What does y equal? What kind of 6? So now my x, remember my ordered pair is 0. And what is my y value? Negative 6. It's done. It's a done donkey. We rode that pony till it became a donkey. No? So I can graph them, right? Let's graph it. From my point of origin, x is negative 2, so I'm going to go left 2, and y is 0, so I don't move up or down. There's my first point. Back to my point of origin, x is 0, so I don't move left or right. But my y value is negative 6, so I'm going to go down to negative 6, and there's my new point. This is where they intercept those axes. Take my straight edge, draw my line end to end. Drawing your line end to end is important. You'll see why when we keep on working on these things. And then make sure you label it with your original equation. 3x plus y equals negative 6. Easier than you thought, right? Right, Frank? Right, Laudo? Just be careful with those negatives. Do the triangle if you have to. Use column method when you're subtracting or adding. Any questions? No questions? All right, do your homework.